So with that being said, let's head to the airport. So I made $108 million online doing this. And by the end of today's video, you're gonna be able to just copy me, because I'm gonna break down the process of how I created an offer to monetize my audience that printed $1 million back when virtually no one knew me. And since then, I've built a $108 million online empire on the back of this. This is the exact same process the most successful influencers, gurus, everyone that you watch online uses to monetize their audience and print millions from it, as well as the small micro personal brands use to make 5 to 6 figures a month with less than 10,000 followers. Now, before I go into that, you're probably asking yourself, why the f are you on a business jet? And the answer is, well, why not? Because I know that by the time I land, I would have made more money than I spent to charter this business jet. How? With the exact type of product that I'm going to teach you how to put together in today's video. I'm actually taking my team for a quick 5-day vacation in the Maldives before we finish recording these episodes. And I thought, why not give you a glimpse at the type of luxury that this type of offer I'm showing you today has generated me. So that way you can understand the potential of what I'm talking about here. And before you say anything, chill out. I'm not selling you a course at the end of this. Now, I've already given you guys the first piece of the puzzle, which is actually building a micro personal brand. That is your asset. But here's the thing. It doesn't matter if you have 500 followers or 5 million followers. When you have what I'll give you today, making millions becomes a matter of simply following the right steps. And here's why. Let me just cut straight to the chase. Most of you are stuck at what I call a level 2 opportunity. That is selling your time. Right now, I want to show you a level 10 opportunity. The premise here is very simple. There's people less capable, less knowledgeable than you, making far more money than you. Why? Because it does not matter how skilled you are or how much work you put in. You will always be capped by the size of the opportunity that you currently have. So there's people out there that are making more money than you simply because they have access to a level 10 opportunity while you don't. You see, everything I work on these days is focused on building something that will keep producing monthly recurring revenue month after month for the rest of my life. Whether that's a YouTube video that gets millions of views for years to come, or creating a software company that I sell once and people need to pay for every single month. When I'm working on a project, this is all I think about. How can I build something once and have people pay for it thousands of times? That is what a level 10 opportunity is. And it was about 6 years ago where I had my first taste of this. Now, I don't know if you guys can wrap your head around this, but once I started operating at a level 10 opportunity, my income started to skyrocket by 5, 10, 20x. Why? Because if everything I create pays me thousands of times, it's like everything I do gets multiplied thousands of times over. Think about it. If you are selling your time right now, only one person can pay for your hour at a time. That means that you will always need to put in more hours to make more money, and that is level 2. On the other hand, me, when I build this type of product that can be sold 1,000 times, and I'll tell you exactly what that is in just a second, I build it once, I put in the work once, and then once it's built, it's done. So quite frankly, you want to know what the difference is between you and me? It's not that I'm smarter or I work harder. It's that with level 10 opportunities, I get to create once and get paid thousands of times for it. While you, with a level 2 opportunity, has to keep creating every single day, every single week, every single month, all year long. And the crazy part is, if you stop, your income is gone. But if I stop, nothing happens. I get paid thousands of times, regardless of whether I'm putting in the work or not. And this is what I like to call a scalable offer. Now, I want to be very reasonable here. Am I saying that this is 100% passive income and you never have to work again? No, there's no such thing as passive income. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is you are never going to get to the next level financially if you keep bumping your head against the wall with level 2 opportunities. Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking. Well, Eman, for years, you kept telling us to start an agency. And you are right. For years, I have been focused on teaching people how to make $10,000 a month. And I still believe from the bottom of my heart that a service-based business is the best way to do that. So listen, if your goal is to make $10,000 a month and you're happy with that, which by the way is an incredible life, then go ahead and do that. But I just can't sit here on a business jet talking to you about how to make $10,000 a month if this flight alone costs multiple 6 figures. I'll be honest with you, I do monitor my comments very closely, and I know that the #1 criticism that you guys have towards the content that I create is, okay, but I don't want to know what 16-year-old Eman did to get himself out of his situation and make $10,000 a month. I want to know what the current Eman is doing in 2025 to make millions as it currently stands. And I'll be entirely honest, I was very reluctant to show you that because I understood that it was a more complex process than starting a simple agency and getting 2 to 3 clients. You see, it's funny, people have argued with me for years about, oh, I should do exactly what you're doing, not what you did to get to the point that you're in. And the path to win this game has always been very clear. Some sort of service-based business, then you get into digital products, and then you get into software. Alex Hormozi did it. He did Gym Turnaround, so he was a service business. He was basically a marketing agency slash partner. Then he created Gym Launch, which was a coaching slash digital product company. And then from there, he created a software. You look at a guy called Alex Becker, agency services, digital products, software. Russell Brunson, service-based business, digital products, software. Even a guy called Andrew Wilkinson, who's a billionaire and just wrote a book that I recently connected with a couple months ago. He had an agency business, then he had a digital product business, and then from there, he started investing in different software companies and different tech companies. So the path has always been very clear to me, and it's a path that I've followed myself. But you cannot skip steps or you will fail. Until now. You see, there's been some recent developments, which means that now you can actually choose whether you do the agency step or you go straight to digital products. You see, with recent developments with AI in the last 6 months, this process that used to be extremely complex has now become way more simple, especially with some of the tools that I've personally been developing with this new technology. So if you're one of those who not only wants to make $10,000 a month, but wants to have something that can scale to private jet money, I heard your guys' feedback. You want Rolls Royce money, private jet money, buy your mama house money. Here it is. I'm giving it all away today. Now, there's 2 types of people watching this video right now. The first type already has a product to sell. And if that's you, pay attention because what I'm about to show you will literally 10x your business revenue by adding just this one offer. The second type of business doesn't have a product to sell. And if that's you, there's 2 scenarios here. First scenario is you have specific knowledge in an area. Maybe it's nutrition, maybe it's medicine, marketing, physical education, mechanics, whatever. Maybe you're a service provider or you have an agency. If that is you, you already have everything you need to blow up your business with exactly what I'm going to show you in today's video. This is going to allow you to stop trading your time for money. Now, the second scenario is if you don't have specific knowledge in any area. And by the way, that's totally fine because what I'm about to show you can be used by literally anyone to sell anything online. I'm going to show you how to go from I have nothing to sell to give me a computer with internet access and I will make millions with a scalable offer. Now, I vividly remember the day where I discovered this model. I was in Monaco enjoying a well-deserved vacation after grinding my ass off with my agency for 3 years straight. Now, beyond the 4 and 5 figure client retainers, there is one annoyance when it comes to running an agency, which is every single new client that I added more complexity, which basically meant more people to hire, more shit to manage. The workload was growing exponentially with every new client that I brought on. And listen, I've been saying this for years. An agency is the perfect business model to make your first $10,000 a month online, because with just a few handful of clients, you can get there. And even to get to 10, 20, 30 grand a month, it's a great business. But I'll be honest with you, once you hit around $80,000 a month, it starts to get really fucking complex to scale past that. So I'm enjoying this summer in Monaco. I'm chilling by the beach and my phone keeps lighting up with these Stripe notifications, $799, $799, $799. And these were actually coming from a small product that I literally put together in a few hours the week before I left. And I sat there and I started thinking about this. I'm sitting here enjoying a few drinks, watching these Stripe notifications pop up. And in the few hours I was there, I had made the same amount that one of my agency clients would have paid us for an entire month of work. But here's the difference, and this is very important. The agency client required hours of work from my team to fulfill. And don't get me wrong, it was great money. But fuck me, at a certain point, as I said, you hit a threshold with the agency where it just got so tough to maintain. Once again, 10K a month business, the best on earth. Past that, it starts to get tricky. And I just sat there thinking about what had just happened. Some random person came across one of my YouTube videos. And by the way, this is when my channel was still very small, by the way. They watched the video, clicked the link in the description, checked out the sales page, and decided by themselves that they wanted to purchase. They went ahead, purchased the program, and got instant access through my content platform. And all of this happened without me talking to them, without a sales rep, without customer support. I didn't have to lift a single finger to get that sale or deliver on it, other than the work that I had already put into recording the video and creating the product in the first place, which by the way was just a few hours of work for that first version of the program. And all of this because I created this product once. I didn't have to do any extra work to fulfill on that customer. The work was already done. And that is when it hit me. This is one of the biggest realizations that I had in business. I had found a way to detach my time from my income, and I had finally discovered what a true scalable offer looks like. This scalable offer was what's called a digital product. Listen, what I am about to share is something that I have never talked about publicly before. And you know what's so funny? This is the same shit that me and my 8 and 9 figure friends will literally be sitting around a table like this on a flight. And even if they have businesses making hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue in different industries, they will literally be pulling me aside like, Iman, you need to show me how to do this, because they understand the power of this business model. And up until now, I've only shared this with those close friends, but today I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna show you exactly how I create these digital products that scale to 7 and 8 figures through a personal brand. And when I say exactly, I mean I'm gonna break down my entire 3-step process step by step so you can literally just copy what I do. I am not holding anything back here because once again, I have no courses to sell you at the end of this. So I'm just gonna lay it all out. So let's get into the technical stuff. Remember the recent changes that I mentioned earlier that made this model way simpler? Well, here's how this works. You do still need to start at lower level opportunities like I did with my agency. You won't simply start at a level 10 opportunity right away. You still need to work your way up. The difference is it's now possible to fast track this process. And we do this with a specific type of digital product. It's what I call a minimum viable digital product. This is the first bare bones version of your digital product. It's kind of like a stepping stone to take you from a level 2 opportunity to a level 10 opportunity within 90 days. I want you to think about this like a research and development phase. You see, most companies will spend over $100,000 in R&D to develop their products. The difference here is instead of paying, you're actually going to get paid upwards of $100,000 to run this R&D phase. Now you might be wondering how are we actually going to do that. We're going to develop the entire structure of your digital product together in just a minute. Later on, you're going to turn this structure into what I call an automated digital product, which is the one where you create once and sell thousands of times without having to put any extra work in after it's created. And that, my friend, is a level 10 opportunity. Now, before we get there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this initial structure to run this minimal viable digital product as a coaching offer. That is, instead of letting hundreds of people in right away, we're gonna personally run a few specific people through this MVP first. And we're gonna do this for a very specific reason. By running this first as a coaching offer, we save ourselves dozens of hours in product development, recording, production, editing, so that way we can start selling this right away within a few hours. By operating this way, it also allows us to validate our product before we invest a lot of time into it. Trust me, the last thing you want to do is invest hundreds of hours creating something that ends up not selling at all. And you're also getting paid very well to run this entire R&D phase. It's what I call earn to learn. And you can use this MVP to make your first $100,000 from your micro personal brand. Then, once your offer is validated, we're going to turn this MVP into an automated digital product that you can create once and sell 1,000 times. Now, I know as soon as I mention the word coaching, some of you go, but man, I don't have enough experience to coach someone on anything. First things first, take a deep breath and just relax. We are going to make this entire process as simple as possible. It will be as simple as you following a literal step-by-step structure that's gonna get created for you and helping people fill out some fill-in-the-blank resources, which is also gonna get created for you. And I'm gonna show you that in just a second. As I said, I'm literally giving you everything here. Now, the second thing you need to understand, and I know that this is gonna sound crazy to you, you actually have an advantage over me when it comes to running coaching programs. You see, the truth is, I'm simply too many steps ahead of my customer. And that's actually a massive problem because I come across as unrealistic or unachievable to a lot of people. But when you're only 1 or 2 steps ahead of your customer, that is actually perfect because achieving the same results you have looks realistic. It looks attainable, achievable. I mean, think about it like this. Imagine you're a personal trainer and you are coaching someone who's overweight. You do not need to be some Mr. Olympia competitor to do that. And you don't need to be training pro athletes. You just need to be in somewhat decent shape. Now listen, someone who's overweight doesn't want the guy that trains professional athletes. You know what they want? They want a regular person where they can see themselves in that person. Someone who can show them the next 2 to 3 steps ahead of where they are right now. And by the way, this isn't me talking shit here. This is a proven fact. That's why in the weight loss market, the coaches that are absolutely crushing it aren't the ones with insane physiques. It's the regular looking people who are in slightly above average shape. Why? Because they are relatable. People look at them and think, yeah, you know what? I can actually achieve that. But when they look at Mr. Olympia over there, they go, yeah, f that, I'm never gonna get there. That's not the type of coaching that I need. So really let that sink in. You have a competitive advantage over me when it comes to this stuff. You don't need to be level 100 to coach someone who's at level 1. You just need to be at level 2 or 3, and that's it. And here's the best part. Getting to level 2 or 3 nowadays in 2025 can take less than 14 days. All of the knowledge you need is already out there, widely available. All you need to do is have the right tool to synthesize this knowledge into something manageable and consumable. It's kind of like mining for gold. Imagine you buy a huge plot of land and you start digging up. what's the likeliness of you actually finding gold? It's close to zero because you are digging with an endless field of possibilities. Now, what if you knew exactly where the gold was to start with? How much easier would that be? That is the case when becoming an expert at something. Once you know where to search to avoid all the dirt, finding gold becomes simple. And I'm telling you right now, with this process I'm about to give you, within the next 2 weeks, you can become an expert. Actually, in fact, a trusted authority in whatever topic of your choice. So let me just show you right now how to find where the gold is before you ever need to dig a single hole in the first place. So let's get into the process. It's actually a 3-step process. I call it productizing. This is a proven process to turn information into digital products that has million-dollar potential. And listen, you don't need any professional experience or established authority to do this. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be the most valuable skill for 2025. And here's what you need to understand, because this is the entire premise this process is based on. Information is everywhere now. Anything you want to learn, it's already out there on the internet. And to be honest, it's been like that for years. But here's the problem, and this is where the opportunity sits. There is simply too much information out there for us to consume it ourselves. And the other issue is it's all scattered, it's all over the place. There's no order to it. And that is exactly why you need to learn how to synthesize information. And by the way, that is the key word to success here, synthesize. When I say synthesize, I mean taking all these different pieces of information that are scattered all over the place in no order and combining them into one coherent idea, one single solution. And we do this in 3 steps. First, you find what I call a unique value zone. That is finding a high value problem to solve. Now, I have this thing called problem farming that I'm going to show you in just a second, and it's actually going to help you to do that. Second, you synthesize all that information about the problem into knowledge. And listen, knowledge is just organized information. And to organize that information into knowledge, that's where we use the process of synthesizing. We're going to turn all that information into a method. Think of it as turning knowledge into a step-by-step action plan that actually fixes a real-world problem. Now, I also have a process for this called visceral transformation mapping, and I'm going to break this down in just a minute. And then finally, we're going to package that method into a digital product that you can sell for $20, $500, or $2,000, and you can sell that thousands of times as an automated digital product. And by the way, you could sell that for $2, $3, $5, even $10,000 a handful of times with your minimum viable digital product when running it as a coaching offer. And I know some of you guys are thinking, Eman, is it actually possible to create this once and sell it 1,000 times? Yes, and I can tell you for a fact, it is. I have sold a digital product more than 1,000 times in a single day, and I've done that more than a dozen times in my career. I've had products ranging from $27 all the way up to $1,500. And here's the crazy thing, I actually sold that $1,500 product 1,000 times in a day, more times in my career than I did the $27 one. Now, by the way, everyone pushing this whole low-ticket info MRR model actually made their money with offers ranging from $1,000 all the way up to $40,000, not low-ticket subscriptions. I know all of them, I know all their back-end numbers. I am the only one who's made millions and millions and millions of dollars with a low-ticket subscription, which is my mobile app, Digital Launchpad. It's one of the top educational mobile apps in the world. But even that is tiny in comparison to what I've made with products costing $1,000 and above. So trust me, the whole low-ticket recurring info advice is nonsense. More on this later. And I'm going to show you how you too, by going through these 3 steps, can create a digital product that has the potential to generate $1 million from your micro personal brand. But before we do that, this is going to be one long flight to my location. So I'm going to go take a nap and I'll talk to you guys after that. Now, I actually had to create these tools for myself, and I do have to admit, this stuff is all very easy to me right now because I've got this entire process automated in my businesses. But I'll be honest with you, for the first few years, it wasn't like this. You know, for the first few years, I was struggling so hard with turning information into digital products. Like, we're talking anywhere from 3 to 8 months just to get one product out there. Now, here's the thing. Inside of my online subscription app, Digital Launchpad, we had this goal to launch 1 new program a month. Now, obviously, I don't record any of these programs myself anymore, but I brought on the best educators in the world to do that. And when you're working with external educators and you're paying them stupid amounts of money and you only have them for a week to extract all their knowledge, at that point the math just doesn't add up. And what made it even more frustrating was that these people were absolute experts in their field. They knew their inside and out, but it still took forever to actually synthesize that knowledge. So I was just getting like so sick and tired of spending 3 to 8 months to create a single product when we needed to launch a new one every single month. You know, if we wanted to meet that goal, something needed to change. So I knew I had to figure out a way to take someone's expertise, everything that's inside of their head, and synthesize all of that information and then turn it into $1 million digital product, and do that fast. Now I tried everything for that. Gemini, Claude, ChatGPT, all of that stuff, and none of it worked, or at least not to the level that I needed it. And that's when I realized I would need to build my own artificial intelligence for this specific purpose. So I had no choice but to actually create my own solution for this. My goal for it was very simple. Imagine that there's this black box right in front of you. You take information, which again is actually widely available out there. You put it into this box, press a button, and then boom, it spits out a digital product that can make you $10, $20, even $100,000 a month. And that's pretty much why I created it in the last year. And I used it to create 12 different digital products using the system, all of it using other people's knowledge. And what you need to understand is this: all this knowledge is available out there already. You see, when I pay these educators, it isn't actually for their knowledge, because knowledge is free. You can get it from anywhere. I was paying for the rights to use their image, for the IP. Meaning, if you're gonna use your personal brand to do this, you can just do it for free. And right now, I'm about to open this black box for you. You see, the secret to creating a successful digital product is focusing on solving one specific high-value problem. And before I tell you exactly how to do this, I need to address some of the BS that I see out there. And I'll be honest with you guys, some of this stuff pisses me off. You go on YouTube, watch any video about digital products, and the first thing they tell you is, make a list of the things that you're good at or you're passionate about. They're like, oh yeah, if you're good at video games, make a walkthrough guide. If you like baking, then create a baking course. By the way, this stuff can work, but you're not thinking smart here. Listen, if you want to make $432 in 6 months, go for it. But for majority of people, that is terrible advice. Here's the truth, and I know this might hurt some people. If you are not someone with a skill that has a proven commercial value, like running an agency, being a chiropractor, or let's say you have a 6-figure physical store, your skill will most likely have extremely low commercial value. And trying to build a business around that will be difficult. It's actually easier to make money with this by going for an expertise you don't currently possess than trying to turn a low commercial value skill into a profitable product. So let me show you how to actually do this properly. The first concept you need to wrap your head around here is this: we are not trying to become experts in an entire field of knowledge. Listen, let's be real here for a second. You know how hard it is to become an expert in an entire field? Here's what we want to do instead. And here's something that I learned early on. Becoming an expert at an entire field is extremely difficult. Becoming an expert at solving one specific problem, that's way easier. Anyone can do that. And you don't need to be seen as an expert in an entire field to do this. Let me give you an example that will make this crystal clear. Imagine you get a flat tire in the middle of nowhere. No one around, nearest gas station is like 100 kilometers away. You find this 5-minute video that shows you exactly how to change your tire specific to your car model using just the tools in your trunk. In that moment, do you give a shit if that person is a certified mechanic? Do you care if they understand how the transmission works? Of course not. You just want your tire fixed. It's the same with everything else. If your knee's been killing you for weeks and someone shows you one stretch that fixes it in 5 minutes, you don't care if they're a surgeon or a doctor or not. You just care that you are not in pain anymore. And that is really the secret to creating successful digital products. It is to find these specific pain points and become an expert at solving them, because you can become an expert at solving virtually any problem in just a matter of a few weeks. The God's honest truth is this: pretty much every single problem out there has already been solved. And not only that, the solution to it is sitting somewhere online right now. And here's what most people don't understand. 99% of problems, and I literally mean 99% of problems, are actually really simple to fix once you know what's causing them. It's not rocket science. Once you understand the cause, finding the solution is pretty straightforward. I mean, let's take an example. Your computer stops working. You've got tens of thousands of wires and connection points inside of your computer, and one of them is causing the computer to not work properly. And fixing it is as simple as replacing a single broken wire. Like, anyone could do it. The real problem isn't fixing it, it's actually knowing which wire is actually causing the issue. But once you identify that specific wire, the solution is usually just a simple 3 to 5 step process that, honestly, most people could do themselves. And I'll tell you right now, this is how it works for pretty much 90% of the problems out there. So what I'm gonna show you is exactly how to spot these problems that people are willing to spend thousands of dollars to get solved. And more importantly, I'll show you how to identify what's actually causing these problems in the first place. And listen, this isn't just for people who already have expertise, because once you identify the problem and its cause, creating a solution is just a matter of putting in a few hours of research to figure out the ideal 3 to 5 step process to fix that problem. And this works for absolutely anyone. including if you run an existing business already. So let's say you have an agency, you want to know the best way to scale it. It's not actually by getting more clients past a certain point, it's by creating a simple digital product around your client's most valuable pain point. Instead of fixing problems for people, you show them how to fix it themselves. And here's where most people go wrong. They go, but Eman, I can't create a product on email marketing or paid traffic because it would take my clients years to learn what I know. And that is exactly my point. You shouldn't be focusing on entire fields like email marketing or paid traffic. You need to focus on specific high-value problems that you can package into a product that's worth months of retainers. Let me give you a perfect example of this. Alex Hormozi. Most people don't know this, but he followed the exact same path that I did in my career. You see, Hormozi used to run a service-based business just like I did. He started out by helping gyms sign up new members through these blitz marketing campaigns. Then one day, he meets a guy called Russell Brunson who basically tells him straight up, you're a level 10 skill set stuck at a level 2 opportunity, and you need to stop fixing problems for people and start teaching them how to fix it themselves. So what does Hormozi do? He launches Gym Launch, which was a high-ticket digital product / coaching business for gym owners that taught his client acquisition system. And the craziest part is he was charging these gym owners like $30,000 a year to actually teach them how to do it, when he used to make substantially less money by doing it himself. And here's what I want you to pay attention to. He wasn't selling some broad shit like paid traffic or marketing. He was solving one specific problem: client acquisition for gyms. And that's it. That's the approach that you should take. So if you're a personal trainer selling sessions, you should focus on, let's say for example, new mothers who want to lose postpartum weight in 12 weeks. So you create one program with one specific problem and one specific solution. If you're teaching Spanish, don't just sell generic classes. Focus on travelers who need basic conversation skills fast. You could call it the Speak Basic Spanish in 4 weeks program. Boom, there's your product. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't need to have a master's in Spanish to teach someone how to speak a few sentences. In fact, would you prefer to learn from the guy that took 5 years in university courses to learn this entire thing, or from the guy that barely spoke any Spanish and within 4 weeks learned just enough to travel to a Spanish-speaking country all by himself? Most people would choose the second option because that is what's more realistic to them. They don't have 5 years to spend to learn Spanish. Now I know some of you guys are wondering, well, what if I don't have any expertise? Don't worry about that. I'm going to show you exactly what to do in that case. Now listen, I'll be honest with you. Going back to the Hormozi story for a second, what you need to understand here is this. If he tried to start Gym Launch right away, he would have failed. Why? Because back then there was no way to get all that knowledge and synthesize it into a method without actually going through the process yourself. But today, times have changed, and there is. So let me show you how. So what I'm going to show you is the second stage of the method that I mentioned in episode 2, the personal branding blueprint. Now the first stage that I showed you on the previous episode, all about creating your personal brand and getting it to its first 1,000 followers within 12 weeks. This second stage is creating what I call a minimum viable digital product. That is a product that takes from 1 to 2 weeks to put together and has the potential of making your first $100,000 from your personal brand. And when you follow this process, you will be able to identify problems within your already existing expertise that people are willing to pay to get fixed. Or you use this process to identify potential high-value problems that you can learn how to solve within a 1 to 2 week period. The first step of creating your minimum viable digital product is defining what I call your unique value zone. And around 10 years ago, the concept of a niche got introduced into this digital product industry. And this concept really changed the online game. You see, instead of trying to compete in these massive industries like personal development, people start to focus on specific niches like making better decisions. You see, even in my case, rather than going into broad business industry, I started with the SMMA niche, which was this tiny little subsegment back then. But here's the thing, and this is something I see a lot of people get wrong these days. The concept of a niche is outdated now. Just like if you're trying to start an SMMA today and you go for generic niches like chiropractors or med spas, if you do that today, you're basically screwed. All these niches that used to be untapped markets are now completely saturated. Everyone is competing at that level today. So I had to figure out a way to go deeper than that. I ended up creating this method to identify problems that barely anyone is solving, but that people are willing to pay thousands of dollars to get fixed. That is what I call a unique value zone. So let me break this down for you with some real life examples. So let's take the technology market, for example. Web development would be your niche, right? But your unique value zone could be web development for non-technical entrepreneurs using no-code tools. Or in the agency space, instead of just targeting law law firms, you focus specifically on corporate law firms struggling with case management efficiency. And here's what makes the unique value zone so powerful. It focuses on high-value problems while everyone else is just wasting their time on low-value shit. Now, how do you actually find your unique value zone? I have a process for it called problem farming. And it's actually one of the first steps in my personal branding blueprint method. You basically go through every single potential problem your prospect might have and ask yourself, is there an angle I could approach this problem from where people would actually pay to get this fixed? Well, this is an oversimplification. I have the entire process of my problem farming mapped out on a mind map that I'm gonna give you at the end of this video, so that way you can just go through it yourself. It's incredibly in-depth and has a lot of details and examples, but I'm gonna be honest with you, this is easier said than done. It used to take us weeks, sometimes even months to do this properly. Now, if you really want, you can go down the route of the mind map yourself. But the way we do it today is a little bit different because I actually developed a tool that makes this process way faster. As I mentioned, inside of Digital Launchpad, we try to release a new program every single month using this exact system. And I'll add a screen record demoing here, but basically here's the way that it works. You give this tool a specific field that you want to focus on. If you don't have any fields of expertise, you just leave it open. And just with that, it will come up with dozens of unique value zones for you, all of which have the potential to generate $1 million. Now, I developed this to focus specifically on UVCs for which you can charge high prices. And here's a few examples of things that came up with when I left the industry open. SaaS startups with high user churn impacting revenue growth. Law firms facing challenges in optimizing workflows to improve case management efficiency. Blockchain startups struggling to explain complex technology to potential investors. Boutique hotels struggling to increase direct bookings and reduce dependency on third-party platforms. High-end fashion retailers facing issues with reducing shopping cart abandonments on their websites, among dozens of others. Now, all of these unique value zones might sound intimidating at first, and you already think, well, how could I even solve these problems? Just remember what I mentioned earlier. Once you understand the cause of all of these issues, the solution is usually a simple 3 to 5 step process, which I'm going to show you how to find as well. Now, here is a unique value zone that caught my attention. Organizing virtual conferences for industry associations using accessible software. Now, in 2020, I actually had a client at my agency that had a virtual conference software for industry associations. So I actually find this one quite interesting. Now, with this being said, I know jack about this entire industry or the software that they use. So this is a good example for us to use here. So here's what I did. I asked the AI to come up with a few more unique value zones within the virtual conference niche, and it came up with a bunch of them. Now, here's the most important part of this step. How do you know which is the best value zone to pick? Because making the right decision could be the difference between complete failure and astonishing success. Well, inside the personal branding blueprint, I've developed a process to help you make decisions on this. So here's what this process looks like. You're gonna take 5 parameters and score all of your UVZs from 1 to 3 in each one of those. First, starting with pain. 1 means low pain, the problem is annoying but not critical. 3 means high pain, the problem is urgent and needs to be solved quickly. The higher the score, the more valuable that the UVZ is on that parameter. The next one is worsening, which is basically how much that problem worsens over time. 1 means the problem can be ignored for some time. 3 means the problem worsens quickly with serious consequences. Next is purchasing power. 1 represents an audience with lower investment capacity. 3 represents an audience with great investment capacity. And then we have speed. 1 means the resolution is time consuming. 3 means the resolution can be achieved quickly. And then finally, we have willingness. And that's really a personal answer. 1 means low. You have little interest in solving this problem or working with this audience. 3 means high. You are very motivated to solve this problem and work with this audience. And then you just add up all these values to get the total score for this UVZ. The higher the score, the more suitable this is to be developed into a highly profitable digital product. In my case, the AI does the entire evaluation for me and even creates a table to showcase the results. The one that ranked the highest was helping associates transition from offline to online conferences, so that is the one that I'm going to move forward with. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let me get back into proper clothing and let's resume this conversation in the boardroom. All right, so let's get into step 2. And by now you're probably thinking, okay, how do I solve such problems, especially in the case where I don't have any knowledge on it to begin with? Listen, this is where what I call the synthesis process comes in. And I'll be honest with you guys, this is exactly what I use to extract knowledge, whether it's from someone's head or from all the existing information scattered across the internet. Think of it like this. It's basically a knowledge extraction process that turns you into an overnight expert at solving that specific pain point for your unique value zone. And here's what you need to understand, and this is so important. There's already a method out there that fixes your audience's exact problem. You just need to find it. This way, instead of trying to figure out everything on your own and spending months learning every little thing about this problem, here is what you are going to do instead. We start by curating the top 5 to 10 methods in our niche. Then you're going to look at their method and break it down into the 3 to 6 pillars that they implement to solve such problem. Then, and this is where it gets interesting, we're going to organize all this knowledge into what I call a visceral transformation map. I know it sounds complicated, but it's actually really simple. Your prospect is at point A right now, and they are experiencing this problem from their unique value zone. That is your starting point. They want to get to point B, where their problem is solved, and that's the end point. So to figure out what point A and point B look like for your customer, you just need to answer these 3 questions for each point. What do they have? What do they do? And what's their status? So I'll show you some examples of answers to these questions in just a second. Now, what we're going to do is map out exactly what steps they need to take to get from point A to point B. And we do that by taking those 3 to 6 pillars from the top experts' methods and putting them in a logical sequential order. And once we have all the pillars mapped out, we establish a clear goal for each step of your transformation map. And this becomes a backbone structure of your method. As I said earlier, knowledge is just being able to connect different pieces of information together and make sense of it all. Like, listen, you're not out here trying to reinvent the wheel or copy someone else's shit. What you're doing is looking into what's already working, what's already proven, and then creating your own connections between these concepts. And that's literally it. Then the next step in this synthesis process, and this is where most people really fuck up, is developing a detailed plan. You need to break down each step, each pillar into specific tasks that need to be taken by your customer for them to achieve the goal you established for that step. This way, your customer will know exactly what they need to do, like literally step by step, what needs to happen to achieve that goal. And this becomes your action plan to fix the problem of your unique value zone. And finally, with all that, we develop a few fill-in-the-blank resources to help them with these tasks. This way, you don't have to do things for them because they can execute everything themselves through these resources. And once you have all this mapped out, you will have your entire transformation map. That is the skeleton of your digital product right there. And let me show you what this looks like in practice. And by the way, alongside this episode, I'm going to give you an entire worksheet that will help you with this entire synthesis process. Now, when you fill out this worksheet, it will guide you through the right sequential train of thought to really help you synthesize all the knowledge you have extracted from the top experts in your area. Now, here's the crazy part. 12 to 16 months ago, this would have taken you forever. Like, we're talking 3 to 6 months of grinding, reading every book out there, finding all the top experts, understanding their methods, figuring out what you actually need to know and what's just fluff. It was a nightmare, but today, you can extract knowledge from books, videos, podcasts, research papers, literally everything from the top authorities in your industry and have it all organized for you without having to go through all of that yourself. And that's how I developed these program maps for my online e-learning platform, Digital Launchpad. As I said, I've been developing this tool for the last 12 months that does this entire process of synthesis for you. And I'm actually going to launch it next year as a standalone software company. It's not going to be anything crazy. I'm going to make it pretty cheap. I'll probably charge like $30, $40 a month for it. Now, I'm actually calling it Synthesis AI. And what it does is it takes the knowledge that's available out there and breaks it down into this final program map we created here in just a matter of few minutes. And let me show you how it works in practice. First, this tool finds all the top experts for you and then breaks down their entire methods in a simple, easy to consume summary. But to be honest with you, you don't even need to read any of it. Just by going through this process, you're training this AI tool to become an expert in all of these methods it broke down for you. Then it creates the point A and the point B for my specific customer by answering the 3 questions I mentioned earlier. In this case, my specific UVZ was helping associates transition from offline to online conferences. And here's what it came up with. Point A, what do they have? A dipping business, declining attendance, and increasing overhead costs in the offline events that they've been hosting for years. What do? They stress out. They stress over meeting budget constraints, unforeseen expenses, and an increasingly difficult scenario. What's their status? They are perpetually anxious, constantly concerned about the financial stability of future events. Then for the after state, the point B, what do they have? They have successful virtual conferences. They have executed a virtual conference that exceeded expectations in attendance and engagement. What do? Efficient planning, confidently plans and organizes virtual events with streamlined processes and clear timelines. What's their status? Confident and empowered. They feel a strong sense of achievement and confidence in their abilities to navigate the virtual event landscape. You see, with this, you already know exactly where your customer is right now and what transformation your product needs to cause for them. So now all the AI needs to do is to come up with 3 to 5 pillars to go from point A to point B, which used to be the most difficult part. Now, take a look at what this AI has created. It created the 5-step process in a matter of seconds and already attributed a goal for each specific stage. Step 1, you have strategic planning. Step 2, technology evaluation. Step 3, content adaptation. Step 4, staff training. Step 5, execution and post-event analysis. Finally, what we need to do is this: develop the step-by-step method on how to accomplish the goals of each stage. Now, this would have been incredibly hard to do without a lot of knowledge in your field. This is where we spend months and months developing the method. Now, with Synthesis AI, take a look at this. It created an entire step-by-step plan for me on how to complete each one of these steps down to the individual task level. It's a complete outline with every single thing your customer needs to execute on to ensure that they get to point B, which is the endpoint we mapped in our visceral transformation map. So literally all you need to do here is read what the instructions say and follow the step-by-step instructions. Do you think you can do that? Read and follow step-by-step instructions and then help other people follow these same instructions. If so, well then you're ready to make your first $1 million with digital products. Now, in the case that you're running this digital product as a coaching offer first, as I mentioned you should do initially, it even tells you what tasks you need to do together with your client during your coaching calls and which one they need to do themselves after. I mean, how crazy is that? And that's not all. Finally, as I said, we develop a few resources to help us with all the tasks. So if you pay attention on this outline it already tells us exactly what tools and resources we're going to need to complete all the tasks that have flashed out. So all you need to do is to tell it to develop the tools and it will get all the tools developed for you. Here, for example, it developed a goal setting worksheet for virtual conference planning. It created a virtual event plan outline template. It created a SWOT analysis template for transitioning to virtual conferences. It created a technical requirement checklist to help you figure out what's the best conferencing software for your specific needs, and a bunch of others for each one of the tasks in the plan. That is literally your entire digital product outline right there. This page right here could be worth $1 million. And then if you turn this into a digital product, it's game over. So the $1 million question is, how do you turn this into a digital product? Well, that's when we go to our last step here, which is to package this offer. Remember what I mentioned earlier. Now, at first, we're going to deliver this digital product as a coaching offer. This is your MVP. Now, most people try to start right away with an automated digital product, basically selling it as a course. And this is the wrong way to do it. If you start with an automated digital product, you're going to have to spend months developing the entire product before it makes any sales, which I strongly advise against, because you're going to spend all this time on something that you don't even know if the market wants. That's the worst way to get started, and that's why so many people fail in the e-learning industry. And that's why you must start with the MVP. By creating an MVP first that you deliver as a coaching offer, you get to sell before you ever put any work into product development. You get to validate your offer quickly and gather immediate feedback for improvements. You get to sell it for way higher prices than your automated product, and it's actually easier to sell due to the exclusivity of it. It's kind of like real estate developments where you sell the apartments before they build. That's pretty much what we're doing here. So how do we actually create this offer? Well, here most people take the wrong approach. They try to create what's called in marketing an irresistible offer. An irresistible offer is hard to understand because it has too many elements. It relies on emotional selling, full of scarcity and urgency triggers, and it's hard to deliver. The client who pays $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 for coaching doesn't want any of that. Instead, they want a tangible offer. That is an offer that has a clear objective, basically what am I paying for, clear impact, what am I going to get out of this, define logistics, how is this going to be delivered, and this is so much better because it relies on logic. It's easy to deliver, it's easy to communicate, it's easy to understand, and it's easy to sell. So let me show you how to structure your tangible offer for your minimum viable digital product. The first element is a clear goal. All you need to do is to be able to answer the following question: what is the ultimate objective of this product? And you can use this template structure to answer. Get desired outcome without pain, resulting in result within time frame. And here's what I came up with from my example. Run your first successful virtual conference 12 weeks from now and stop relying on constantly over budget in-person events with nightmare logistics. Now here's another example. Your back will feel 20 years younger in 21 days from now from home, so that way you can go back to having regular painless routine without ever having to take any injections. The second element is impact. Here you just need to answer this question: what is the byproduct of achieving the goal you just set for your product? Is it more time freedom, more clients, more confidence in their skills, looks, more libido? The more tangible, the better. Let me give you an example. Cut event costs by 60%. Surpass previous in-person events in engagement and attendance. Eliminate the logistical nightmare of dealing with vendors, venues, bookings, seating arrangements, unforeseen expenses, and last-minute changes, and reduce planning from 8 months to 12 weeks. Another example would be sit down and get up without help once again. Be able to travel for longer than 1 hour in your car without having to stop. Sleep all night long without waking up in pain in the middle of the night. And then finally, you need to define the logistics. How is this product going to be delivered? What is going to be delivered? For how long? And here's how I like to structure this for the initial MVP coaching offer. I like to deliver this entire product through Flowsy. So what I do is I add all the assets that AI created for me inside of Flowsy. I break the entire transformation map in flows, and each stage of the map becomes its own flow with all the tasks and resources you need to complete for that stage inside of its flow. Then I simply add clients inside these flows and run them through these stages in a Zoom call. I like to structure with one Zoom call per phase. This way, if my method has 5 phases, the delivery is going to be all the Flowsy build out with all the tools and resources, plus step-by-step instructions accompanied by 5 coaching calls. Now, I usually do 1 call a week, so this would be a 5-week coaching program. Now, I actually repurposed my entire software, Flowsy, to be able to do this. It actually used to be a tool to run your agency on it, and it was called Agency Flow. And I actually started using this for the MVP digital product as well as coaching offers, and I figured out it was actually its best use. Today, the bulk of our customers are exactly that, coaches and consultants. There's no other tool that allows you to structure things in this way on the market right now. And at the end, you're gonna have something like this. With this, you're now ready to start selling your MVP digital product. Now, the reason why this MVP digital product works so well is because when you sell it as coaching, it's not so much about the knowledge. In fact, it's not really about the knowledge at all. All you have to do is ask the right questions, which is exactly what you have laid out for you on this outline we just created, and then the clients will come up with their own answers. You just need to run them through this document with the fill-in-the-blank resources that we created. That is how simple this is. And imagine the level of authority you get when you show your potential clients that you have the entire process to achieve their desired result mapped out step by step to the task level. Literally no one has that. Remember, you don't need to be a master, you just need to be a couple steps ahead of your customer. And with this method we've just created, you definitely are. So let's get started with this. With everything I've given you, you should shift your mind from I have nothing to sell to give me a computer with internet access and I will make millions. Again, the idea here is to make money while going through the research and development phase. Then, once you have proof of concept, you record that and turn it into an automated digital product. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Listen, now would be the perfect segue for me to go into pitch to the method that I just showed you. I could sell you the personal brand blueprint method here for $2,000, and I would have thousands and thousands of people buying it. I would probably make 8 figures, maybe even multiple 8 figures from that, but I'm not gonna do that. As I told you earlier, I'm done selling my own courses or programs, and there is a reason for that. You know, the truth is this: only having the information is just a part of the puzzle. You are not going to succeed in this industry with only information alone. In most industries, you would, but not in this one. Let me give you an analogy. Let's say you want to start an oil business. The first step is to know where the oil is, and that is exactly what I showed you, but only knowing where the oil is not enough. If you don't have the tools to extract it, you're never going to make a single dime from it, and most people overlook how important this small detail is. Imagine I tell you exactly where to dig to find oil. How much money would you make from it? Zero. Because without an oil rig and all the tools to process and refine it, this information is literally useless. And I've realized that that is the same for this industry that we're in. So that's why I've decided to give my knowledge away for free. And that is exactly what I'm doing right here with this whole event. And then all I do is provide you with the tools to extract this oil. Now, I have already told you where the oil is. You know where to find it. You actually even know how to extract it, but you're just missing the tools to do so. And that is exactly what I'm going to give you on episode 4 on Monday at 4 p.m. EST. So if you're ready to jump into this, I'll see you there.